Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite concepts or topics working with the tarot, and that's working with the archetypal energies. This particular video is going to be exploring your personal year archetype. What I mean by this is understanding the particular major arcana and to a certain degree the minor arcana that fall under that card if it's applicable, in order to understand what influences are going to be coming up for you for the year 2023. However, this can be applied at any point in time because this is essentially going to be timeless. It's just going to be explaining the actual archetypal energies that each major arcana will be influencing in your life. So, in order to understand this, first of all, we need to do a little bit of numerology. So you need to understand your personal year. And this is quite easy. It's similar to understanding your life path number. If you've ever dabbled in numerology, you'll be familiar with this. But instead of using the year you were born, we're going to be using the year that's coming up. So for example, the next year is 2023. So I'm just going to use mine for example. So I'm on the 19th of the 11th, and then it's going to be 2023. So you're going to be adding up, I hope you can see that enough. So you're going to be adding up each number on the date, the month, and then the year 2023. Mine actually comes to 19. I'm pretty excited about this. That means I've got the archetype of the sun. That is going to be rolling my year for 2023. Once you get this final number, if it's anything under the number 21, so 21 is your key number because we have the major arcana going up to the number 21, you don't want to reduce it. If it goes higher than 21, then you reduce it down to the smaller number. However, if you would like to, you can reduce down your number again. So for me, this would be 10. To get a secondary energy. You can also reduce that down again if you really wanted, and that would be 1. So I would treat these energies as kind of like secondary energies to a certain degree because this is the main one that's going to be influencing myself. But for most people, you're probably going to end up with just one particular number here. Sorry, I've had something in my throat since I started filming. So this is what you're going to be looking at, and then I will be popping in the timestamps in the description box, just a brief overview of each individual card, starting with the Magician. So once you've worked out your number, you can find the tarot card that's going to be influencing you for the year, just to get a bit of an understanding of what energies you're going to be working with. So I will see you at your card. Hello, for those of you who are being influenced by the Magician. So this is going to depend on whether or not you have reduced your number down. So you might have a couple of other influences as well, or maybe you did just end up with the Magician. So the Magician is the first card in the major arcana that represents consciousness. Everything begins with the Fool, and the Fool is like the unconscious drive that we have, whereas moving into the Magician, this is where we start to find a little bit of balance. It's where we start to see things begin to take shape. It's still not entirely conscious though, so we often see with the Magician card that this is where we're forming a sense of individuality. It's where we are becoming aware of ourselves, and it's where we are directing our influences. Stereotypically, the Magician can be seen as a card of manifestation, or manifesting something, or magic in general, especially when we see that he has all of the tools that we can see here, which is actually the aces in the minor arcana, so the Pentacles, Cups, Swords, and Wands. With this card being one of your influences, this really talks about this being a year for you where you're going to have a lot of opportunity for growth. A key aspect to remember with any aces, as well as the Magician, because the aces are ruled by the Magician, is that they are potential. They are not guaranteed. This is not something that means that it's a set in stone concept. And I don't want you to be afraid of that, because quite often that can feel like it's going to slip through our fingers. But the thing to remember with the Magician is the ability to direct our energy and direct our mindset to manifest our desires. So there is an element of working hard, or it's not even hard work, because the Emperor kind of rules that energy. It's more about having faith and belief in yourself, because the Magician is still a very spiritual energy. You're also going to find with this card as well that this is a new beginning sort of chapter for you. So this year coming up is going to be full of not only potential, but a lot of opportunities coming your way. So there's a lot of new beginnings, right place, right time kind of energies. This can be new offers being presented towards you, new connections, that kind of thing. It's really about the universe delivering to you the right pathways to walk down the kind of life choices that you want to manifest in your world. So that's where your manifestation kind of comes into place. This is working with masculine energy as opposed to feminine. So this is about action, taking control and doing things. Just seeing if I want to mention anything else for you. With this energy as well, it is about directing and balancing the spiritual with the physical, because the Magician directs the energy from above into the earth. So again, this is where we see that manifestation kind of come through. So this is really what you're going to be focusing on, is directing your energy in the right way. And also don't be afraid of trial and error as well, because the Magician is a card about learning from mistakes, and knowing that you have the ability to continue moving forward if some mistakes do occur, because everything's going to kind of balance out and work out for you. It's a very fun year, very energetic year, full of a lot of potential as well. So this is a great year for you to clean the slate, start again, and really create the kind of world that you want to for the next sort of, really 20 years. This is the starting point for you. So good luck on your journey, all the Magicians out there, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye. Hello to my High Priestesses. So you would have had your number reduced down to the number 2, and this is going to be a very spiritual year for you. The High Priestess rules spirituality, the subconscious self. This is a time for you to do a lot of inner work as well. So whereas like the Magician is the first card of masculine energy and directing energy, the High Priestess is the feminine side of things. So this is directing all of your work internally. So I don't want to say like dark night of the soul kind of work, because it's not necessarily like that. This is about spiritual development within. So the High Priestess rules the inner voice, the intuition, and connecting to the divine, the sense of divine. We can see a little bit of a dark night of the soul come through. The pomegranates that are in the background of the High Priestess do represent that underworld kind of journey, but this is more from a spiritual perspective. It doesn't mean that you're going to be going through hardship or anything like that. This is spiritual growth, spiritual insight. A key thing with the High Priestess to remember is that she does not speak unless necessary. In order to maximize the insights, the knowledge, and the growth that you can gain from this year, this is really a time where you actually want to stay silent. So it doesn't mean like taking a vow of silence. Perhaps that is something that you are considering or maybe want to do. But this is more about only speaking when necessary and only saying things that are absolutely important, because you'll be surprised what you can see hidden between the lines when you're being silent. So, in a conversation, instead of like, especially if you're someone who's usually extremely bubbly, outgoing, opinionated, passionate, all of those kind of things, this is the year for you to be silent, to observe, to listen to what's not being said, to wait until someone approaches you in order to speak about the things that have meaning for you, because this is where you're going to gain a lot of spiritual wisdom and insight. A really great time to develop new spiritual routines. Could be also exploring a new spiritual path as well. The key word here is spirituality, whether that be through religion or a spiritual path, it doesn't really matter. But this is that High Priestess energy. So even if you are in that religious kind of side of things, you might be looking at the feminine side of religion. So it could be looking at, Mary Magdalene or Mother Mary, for example, if you're coming from those religious roots. Sorry. So this is actually about seeing between the worlds of black and white as well. This is seeing all the shades of grey in between, and that comes through from that inner silence. It's a very potent world of inner wisdom, divine mysteries. So working with the divine feminine this year is going to be extremely important for you, because it's going to really develop that spiritual growth. This is allowing yourself to go deep into that. I don't want to say escapism, because it's not quite escapism, but it's more swimming through the deep waters of the divine. It's probably the best way that I could explain it. Working with moon cycles is also going to be very beneficial for you for this year as well. So I'm going to finish there. I don't think there's anything else I want to mention with this card. So I hope you all have a wonderful High Priestess year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, my Empresses. So you would have got the number 3, and that is the High Priestess card. This is going to be a very abundant year for you. The High Priestess rules fertility, creativity, abundance in all forms. She is still connected to the divine feminine energy though, so there's more of a sense of flow and less control. So this is really a great year for you to follow creative pursuits, to focus on the ways you want to create abundance in your life. Doesn't mean it's going to manifest this year, not necessarily. And the reason why I say that is because the Empress card, though she does represent these things, she still needs the grounding energy of the Emperor to actually bring it into being. So this is more of like a foundation year. It can be like, it's more like where the seeds are planted. This is your time to plant the seeds, nurture the seeds, to begin to see the new growth, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to manifest in its entirety. So for example, let's say you want to manifest more money. This is going to be the year where you're going to be maybe deciding on a new career path, for example. And it could be that you decide to create a business, or you decide to, grow produce that's going to end up with you saving money in the long run, these kind of things. So it's like you can see the results of something, but it's not necessarily going to come through or start manifesting until towards the end of the year, because the seeds are being planted. If you are looking at getting pregnant, for example, this is a great year to start looking at fertility. Just as a caution, I know that's only going to apply to certain people, but this is a really great year for that kind of thing, because it is, again, like it's the seed in the womb that creates the baby. So it's the 9-month gestation sort of period. That's kind of what we're looking at with the Empress. Very flowy, very creative, it's a very positive and abundant time. So you'll feel that there's a lot less stress in your world, because things are going to feel lighter, things are going to feel more inspired. So allowing yourself to follow any creative paths at this point in time is very beneficial, because they are going to bear fruit at the end of the season, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a very positive year for you if you can work with this energy in a beneficial way. Just be cautious if you go overindulgent, it can end up in the negative way as well. So that there needs to be a little bit of grounding, but know that you have a little bit more leniency this year to sort of become unstuck or ungrounded, because it's going to lead you down pathways that are more abundant, more creative, more fruitful in the long run as well. So I hope that makes sense. Have a wonderful Empress year, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye. Hello, my Empress, and welcome to this card. So you would have got the number 4. This is a card and energy that I'm very familiar with because this is actually my life path number. So this is an archetype that rules my life. So I'm very familiar with the Emperor energy. Divine masculine, obviously, we are dealing with the masculine side of things. So when we're dealing with masculine energy, we're dealing with action, control, taking... it's building momentum, creating things. The Emperor is the builder. So he is the one who puts plans into play. He's the one who creates the solid foundations. The number 4 rules foundations as well. So this is going to be a very hardworking year for you, but in a sense that it means it's going to be building solid foundations. The foundations that you build this year in your life are going to last. They're not going to fall down. They're not going to they're not going to break. So what you're dealing with this year is putting your plans into action. So if you've been planning out, whether it can be anything in your life, whether it be a move, a new career, relationships, anything like that, you're really dealing with actually taking action in this year. So there's no more procrastination. The only key with this card to make sure you're working with the archetypal energy in the correct way is to don't make excuses, no longer procrastinating. This is to get the job done. Roll up your sleeves, start doing the work, and once you do that, it's going to flow very quickly, very easily. It's about putting the plans into place. So you could also get, if it's like career energies, you could get promotions, for example, because the Emperor, it does rule that CEO, owner of the company kind of energy. Like he is the head of the house, he is the head of the business, he is the head of everything. You could be finding yourself taking on a lot more responsibility as well. So this can be in anything from new contracts with like buying a home, your family expanding, or new responsibilities in your family life, again within career, within friendships, things like that. This is a very responsible year, a very hardworking year, but it's an abundant year as well, because everything that you're doing this year is going to manifest in a way that benefits you. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to finish there. It's a very straightforward energy, the Emperor. Have a wonderful year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, the Heirophant card. So this is, that sounded so terrible. Hello, the Heirophant card. I should say my Hierophants. This is card number 5. So you would have had the number 5 when you reduced your numbers down. This is going to be a very interesting year for you. So the Hierophant is the Pope card in the tarot. So this is very connected into things like more structured belief systems, so like organized religion and things like that. So you might find you have more of an interest in those kind of things, which it can be very beneficial. But more so when we're dealing with a Hierophant, we're dealing with a sense of spirituality and divine purpose, but in the way that we're applying it to our own life. So you might find that you feel more connected literally to your purpose, or discover a new purpose in your life, in your journey at this point in time that helps drive you. This is also strongly connected to your belief systems. So you might be finding that this is a year where your belief systems are radically shifting and radically changing. This can be in regards to spirituality or religion. It can also be in regards to your personal morals. It can be in connection to your self-belief, self-esteem. The key word here is looking at how you view the world and how you interact with the world. It may seem very simplistic in some ways, but the Hierophant is an extremely important card because it's our belief systems, our moral codes, our self-belief, our esteem, our spirituality, whatever it may be, even if we consider ourselves to be like an atheist. All of these things dictate how we structure our life. They dictate the direction of our life. So you're going to be going through a complete shift in terms of your personal world. So some people might sort of say, you know, oh my God, like I don't even know who you are anymore, because how you view the world and how you see things is radically shifting and changing. You know, this can be like something very simple, like a dietary change, such as going vegan or vegetarian, and that is rooted in a belief system. And whether it be based on just health choices, whether it be based on your choices about, you know, animal rights, things like that. It's just an example. It doesn't mean that that's what you're going to do, but I'm just using that as an example. This is how strong the Hierophant card can be. It's one simple switch or change in how you see the world or view the world that will change the course of your life, that change the direction in how you live your life. So this is the energies that is going to be influencing you throughout this year. So it's going to be a very internal sort of reflection, but it's going to be seen in the external. So while the High Priestess rules things that are on the internal level and spiritual, the Hierophant sort of takes those energies and manifests them into reality. So you're going to be making changes that people on the outside will see as well, that will shift how that will shift how people perceive you as well. It can also be stepping into a little bit more like leadership roles, maybe like so for example, let's say you're part of a spiritual community, you might step into more of like a teaching role because you graduate, or it could be like graduating from a class. That means that you're now qualified, which means that you can step into teaching your wisdom to other people as well. That is also a component of the Hierophant, stepping into that teaching sort of component or aspect of your life as well. So I hope you have a wonderful year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, my lovers. You would have got the number 6 in your numerology. Now, the Lovers card is an interesting one because we tend to take it quite literally because it's called the Lovers. So quite often the Lovers card in the tarot kind of just gets lumped into this romantic sort of energy. But we've got to remember, the Lovers card is actually ruled by Gemini. And when we're dealing with Gemini energy, we're not dealing with love. We're dealing with our mindset, our inner world, our inner connection. So while this may mean on a very, very simplistic, and I mean this in the very loose term of like finding love, that's not what the Lovers card is. So you may find that you step into relationships and connections, but that's not really what the Lovers talks about as an archetypal energy. And this is actually about making a choice. The Lovers card always rules choices and decisions. In this card, we actually have the Archangel Gabriel, and Gabriel is the messenger of God. So we see that, the voice, the wisdom, the spoken word. And we also have Adam and Eve. So we have masculine and feminine, and we have the tree of knowledge and the tree, I believe it's the tree of life. Don't quote me on that. I always get that one mixed up behind them. And what this card actually represents is having to make a choice between one aspect of your life and the next. So if we're looking in the sequence of how the major arcana goes, previously we've gone through the Fool journey, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, and the Hierophant. So we've gone through a stage in our life where we have walked down a particular path. We've worked hard, we've manifested desires and goals and dreams. We've been living in one particular chapter of our life for a long time. Then we're presented with the Lovers, and the Lovers gives us the opportunity to make a decision. Do we want to continue down this path, or do we want to make a different choice? It's not necessarily like life-changing, but it's like when you reach a fork in the road on your journey and you have to decide. And this is quite often a hard decision to make because there can be pros and cons both ways. A lot of the examples tend to use like marriage, especially the traditional concept of marriage, because traditionally it was once you became married that you then moved in with your spouse and you didn't live with your family anymore. And it's a very conscious decision, specifically from the masculine side, because it's about letting go of the mother influence in order to have a wife. I don't want to bring in like, you know, the concept of sexuality and stuff too much. From the feminine perspective, we can say this is like letting go of the father figure in order to obtain a husband. And this doesn't mean marriage. I just want to point that out. This is more about the weight of what that kind of decision can mean in our life. If we're looking at like the minor arcana that are ruled by the Lovers card, the Lovers card rules the sixes in the minor arcana. So we have the Six of Cups, we have the Six of Swords, the Six of Wands, and the Six of Pentacles. All of those cards represent a pivot point on our journey. For example, the Six of Swords is talking about moving from chaotic times into calmer waters. The Six of Cups represents letting go of our past in order to obtain our future. But it's not necessarily knowing what that future represents. The Six of Pentacles is about generosity, of the energy of give and take. So it's about giving up some of our material wealth in order to gain something in return. And the Six of Wands represent victory, but it's understanding that with great victory can also come hardships that we didn't expect. So things like envy from people, or, you know, what we would classify as haters. So it's always about understanding that there is a balance of something. When we give something up, we gain something, but we also lose something. And that's really what this archetype energy is talking to you about. That in your life, you're probably going to feel like you're in, I don't want to say no man's land, but kind of like in this transition period and not quite knowing which direction you want to take, but not feeling comfortable with the past anymore. So this is very much going to be like an internal reflection year for you, in a certain perspective of maybe being presented with a lot of choices. Maybe you have situations where you're like, you know what, I'm no longer satisfied in this career, but do I know what I want to actually do moving forward? And that's where you're going to be doing that reflection. It could be, I'm no longer wanting to be single, but am I ready for a relationship? You know, that's that kind of reflection. You know, I want to take our relationship to the next level, but I'm not sure what kind of level that would mean, whether that be buying a house, buying a business together, or, you know, investing our money into something. Like, it can be anything. So this is very much a year of reflection for you and decision making, because, and it's may feel a little bit frustrating because you won't necessarily know what kind of decisions you actually want to make and choices you want to make, because you don't know the outcomes of it. You just know that you're not quite satisfied with where things are anymore. So that's where that internal reflection comes through from it. So it's going to be, it's not a difficult year, but it is a year of transition. And it's in some ways a year of restoring balance and making conscious choices and conscious decisions. So making sure you're thinking things through, not acting rashly, and really reflecting on what consequences, whether they be good or bad, will come through from the certain decisions and choices that you make in your life. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to leave it there. Have a wonderful year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, my chariots. So you would have got the number 7 in your numerology, and the 7 is ruled by the Chariot. This is an interesting card. The Chariot is ruled by Cancer. So we do have a lot of emotional components coming through with this year. But the Chariot also rules direction. This is leading in from like the Lovers card, which was all about choices and decisions. The Chariot is when we've reached a decision and a direction that we want to make, but now we've got to move forward in order to create change, in order to step on that new path or take that new direction. There's a lot of sense of confidence that comes through from this as well. And this is also coming from a place where we have made a decision that is deeply rooted in our heart's desire as well. Because the Chariot does rule the conscious and the unconscious mind. We have the black and the white. So that's the subconscious or the unconscious mind, the emotional world, and also the conscious world and the manifestation of the physical aspects. So this is about things coming into balance in order to move forward. A great way that you can see this is like manifesting in your world is it may not necessarily just mean just you personally. This can also mean that like people in your life are also more agreeable and easier to, agreeable is probably not the right word. They're more likely to be on board with your decisions in order for you to move forward and make conscious choices in your life to change your direction. So it could be, let's use a relationship as an example. Maybe you've had a partner who hasn't been ready for commitment or taking the next step. This is the time where they will actually consciously say to you, this is what I want, and they'll move forward, whether that be, through letting go of the relationship or stepping forward and moving forward. They'll make a decision. So you'll have a clear understanding of where it is that things are, where you're going in your world, I should say. And this can be the same in business. It can be the same in your friendship groups, careers. Essentially, this is a time of forward momentum for you. This is where your year is going to be about not only restoring balance, but taking action towards creating that balance consciously in your life. So there is a lot of momentum that you're going to see. So things are going to move quickly. Things are going to happen very quickly in your life as well. That's going to sort of push you in the right direction that you need to go in. And this is also a great time for you to take control of your world and manifest things that you actually want. This is where you're going to see things begin to take shape. Things begin to take form in your world. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to leave it there. And I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, my strength cards. So you would have got the number 8 in your reduction. This is going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be hard for you, but it's not going to be the easiest of years, because strength represents moving forward no matter what. It's knowing that you have the strength to keep going forward. There is also a component here of overcoming fear. So subconscious fears. So you could actually heal a lot of internal trauma in those components. If we're looking at like internal work, you might actually come to understand the root cause of bad habits, for example, or coping mechanisms, healing and overcoming them, healing and overcoming any form of trauma that you've experienced. You might find that these are things that you actually focus on in this year. But this is very much a year of saying, don't give up. You might find that this is a year where things don't necessarily seem to be manifesting. It may seem like it's a little stagnant, and this is a bit of a test. This is a test between your ego and your self-belief. The ego is really going to be challenged throughout this year for you, in order to have patience, in order to not give up. Because with this card, I really get that feeling like this is almost like a darkest before the dawn kind of feeling for you, where you just have to keep pushing forward. So there is probably going to be a bit more hard work, but you're going to be rewarded for it in the end as well. I do feel like this can be a bit of a time for you to experience a bit of an ego death as well, and a sense of maturity. Maturation is really a strong energy that comes through with the Strength card, of understanding who you are, where you've come from, where you want to go, and knowing that you have what it takes to get to where you want to go. So there's a lot of self-belief and confidence that comes through with this card. This is really a card of confidence and restoring faith in yourself. So it's not going to be the easiest of years, but you're going to come to the end of it with an unwavering sense of belief in yourself and satisfaction with where you have come from and where you're going. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so I think I'm going to leave it there. I think that's all I really want to mention with this card. So I hope you have a wonderful year, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, my hermits, and welcome to this card. So you would have got the number 9. The Hermit is an interesting card. I actually really like this archetype. It is ruled by Virgo, so we do have that Virgo energy. So you might be finding you're a little bit more picky, a little bit more in that perfectionist kind of mode throughout this year. But the reason behind that is because of the Hermit's journey. The Hermit is, it's an internal reflection of your journey. So this is going within from a spiritual perspective, but this is going at it alone. So this can be a dark night of the soul, but the purpose of it and the reason for entering it is a self-choice. Like the Hermit is a card where we actually go we go within on purpose. So this is a bit of a descent into the underworld where we choose to actually make that descent. Always remember, the Hermit's lantern is actually the Star card. So he always has hope, because the Star card represents hope, and that is your guiding force. You might be feeling like you're a little bit lost on your journey during this year, not quite sure where you are, where you want to go, and there could be a sense of wanting to give up and completely wipe the slate clean. Remembering that the Hermit card, being the number 9, also rules the 9s in the minor arcana. So the 9s, we have the 9 of Wands is like the wounded warrior. So this is like we've been through it. You know, we're like, oh my God, I want to just give up already. Life has just been beating me up. We have the 9 of Swords, which is anxiety, it's insomnia, it's fear, it's our mindset that just gets carried away. We also have the 9 of Cups, which is wish fulfillment, success, hope, happiness, a desire manifested. And we have the 9 of Pentacles, which is abundance and seeing the fruits of our labor. So we have this perfect balance. And what this actually means is maybe you have everything that you should be happy about, but you're not satisfied anymore. So you've gotten the ideal job, the ideal relationship, you've got a roof over your head, you've got all these things that you should be grateful for, but you're feeling like there's something missing. And that's where the Hermit card comes in, because the Hermit card is that inner reflection on going, okay, well, what's missing from my life? Why am I not feeling satisfied anymore? What do I need to change? And usually it is something internal. It is that 9 of Swords, 9 of Wands energy. It's finding something hidden within us that is the source of that feeling of emptiness. It's also finding that new direction, because we move in chapters, we move in journeys in our life, and you're coming towards the end of one chapter, but it's not quite at that ending yet. So this is your transition period, I should say. That probably is the best way of explaining it. This is a transition year for you. So you might just want to be spending more time alone, and that's okay. Make sure you let people know that you're just going through some internal reflection and that you're just going to be MIA a little bit. You might disconnect from social media, from social events, things like that, because you're just going through more of an internal reflection to kind of re-find yourself. Working through a lot of self-help books and like feel-good things like the movie like Eat, Pray, Love and things like that probably is going to be something that inspires you a lot this year as well. So looking at those kind of things, but just know that this is more of that internal reflection year for you, and that's okay. So I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, my Wheel of Fortune. So you have the number 10, which you can reduce down to the Magician as well, if you like. The 10 represents completion. When we're looking in the minor arcana, the Wheel of Fortune rules over the 10s in the different suits. So we have the 10 of Cups, which is success, happiness, emotional fulfillment. We have the 10 of Pentacles, which is in a similar sort of vein. So we have success, abundance, family life, traditions, being materially secure. Then we also have the 10 of Wands, which is reaching the end of a journey. It is carrying heavy burdens, but knowing that that journey is coming to an end. And we have the 10 of Swords, which is like the mini death card. It rules the complete ending of one chapter and the beginning of a next. And that is essentially what the Wheel of Fortune talks about. The Wheel of Fortune talks about closing off one chapter and starting another one. This, if we're coming from a 10 of Swords mindset or a 10 of Wands mindset and going into this with a negative perspective, we can manifest more negativity. But this is knowing that the wheel is always turning. So what goes up must come down. What goes down must go up. So this is kind of like literally Fortune's wheel. So whatever you've been going through over the last sort of 10 years in your life's journey, that's an ending. You're now stepping into a completely new chapter. So in many ways, you're being gifted with a clean slate. How do you want to start the next journey? Because remember, if you reduce the 10 down to 1, we have the Magician. We also have the Aces, which is the potential for something new. So this is very much a clean slate year for you. So, okay, I'm not taking the baggage of the last 10 years with me. I'm going to use this energy to manifest something entirely different. I'm going to start working on a new plan, a new 10-year goal, a new 10-year plan, and decisions that I want to make. Where do I see myself in 10 years? How do I break that down year by year, month by month? What do I need to do? So there is a lot of planning involved, not necessarily a lot of seeing the fruits of your labor in that sense, because you may not see things manifest straight away, but knowing that you're building a new solid foundation. This is the time to plan. I mean, look at all these figures. They've all got a book and they're all looking in a book. Oh, if you can see, like, this is the time to do that planning. This is the time to change the way that your story is being written. This is when you can rewrite your story. This is when you can step into a new soul purpose, a new soul path, a new decision in your life. If you want to change your life entirely, you don't like everything, this is your time to take it down and rebuild it in a way that you actually want. It's a very potent year for you. It's also a very mental year though, because it is very focused in planning and how you're going to plan, move forward, and what things you're going to take advantage of and what potentials you have being presented to you to create this plan and this next step forward. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a wonderful year, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, my Justice cards. Cards, you're not cards. My Justice people, you got the number 11, which is a master number. So we're going to keep that in mind, because 11 is a gateway number in numerology. It represents the new beginnings, the seeds of something new. If we reduce that down, it also rules the number 2. So we have a lot of spiritual components, which is the High Priestess energy, and things being balanced out and moving forward. From a very mundane perspective, this can be a year where you have a lot of contracts, things that are ruled by anything legal. So it could be you buy a house, you sign a new career contract. It can be legal proceedings as well if you have already been dealing with them. I know a lot of people focus on the legal component of that, but I don't want that to scare you. It's not necessarily a component that you're actually going to be dealing with. It's if something has already been activated in your life. But this is like contracts in general that are being activated. And this is contracts in the sense of things that will be beneficial for you. There is also the component of karma as well. So a karmic retribution, which sounds kind of scary, but it's not. This is the scales of your karma balancing out. So whatever you've been doing has cleared the scales of your karma, and this is giving you that clean slate. So making sure you're making conscious decisions moving forward that is going to help build the sort of next momentum of the karma that you want to manifest in your life. This is also a great year for the right people to come into your world. So you could have new friendships, new partnerships, new business connections, social connections, all of that kind of thing. We see a lot of that energy coming through. You might just find yourself being more social than usual, and that's because you are networking. This is a great year for networking. It's a very straightforward energy in that regard. It's also going to feel like it's not necessarily a huge year for you. It's probably going to be one of the years that you sort of look back on and it was just a very easygoing kind of year, with nothing like dramatic, which is a good thing. It's a balanced year. So you might find that you don't have anything hugely dramatic sort of happen. It's just one of those years that just fades into another one. And that's just because you're being gifted that break, I suppose, where energy just coasts. It's a little bit more easier, free flowing, and balanced in your life as well. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope that's made sense for you, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, my hanged mans. So this is card number 12. So you would have had the number 12 come up for you, which you can reduce that down to 3 if you like as well, which is the Empress energy. So we do have components of the Empress come through with the Hanged Man, because the Hanged Man does rule a sense of spirituality and the feminine component. More so though, the Hanged Man, we are dealing with Pisces energy, so we're dealing with connections into the subconscious self to a certain degree, but more so it's a pause. The Hanged Man can make life feel like it's a little bit stagnant, a little bit stuck, not necessarily moving forward. And there's a reason for that. So if you're dealing with this energy throughout the year of feeling like, oh my God, nothing is moving forward, there's no momentum, there's no action coming through, like things aren't manifesting, it's because the universe is asking you to slow down. The Hanged Man is all about being slow. It's all about enlightenment as well. So you could have a lot of spiritual awakenings or spiritual insights come through. This is very connected to the energy of Odin, and specifically when Odin deliberately hung himself from the tree, hung himself upside down from the tree, and also sacrificed his eye in order to gain the knowledge of the universe. And he came away with like the runes, for example, the written word and the knowledge of the universe. So this is really what you're being asked to do. This is, to a certain degree, a card of sacrifice as well. So you may be asked, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to get what you want, especially if you're dealing with a lot of stagnation? This is a question that you're going to have to reflect on this year. What do I need to sacrifice in order to get to where I want to go? Is it time? Is it money? Is it energy? Is it literally giving up something physical? There is some kind of sacrifice that you're being asked to give in order to gain something in return. And that's why this can be such a hard card, because a sacrifice is never something simple. A sacrifice is always something that means a lot to us. So if you want to, let's say you want to lose weight, you're going to have to make the sacrifice of the time and energy to get up and, go for a walk in the morning, or change your diet and give up certain foods that you really enjoy. Say you want to earn more money. You might have to sacrifice additional time in order to work overtime to gain additional income, or you might need to sacrifice your weekly coffees in order to save more money. Like it doesn't have to be like something grand. It can be something small in your life, but whatever it is hindering you from getting to the next perspective and from having a deeper insight into where you want to go. So this is really what's going to be influencing you throughout this year, is the give and take of sacrifice, because what you gain in return is going to be so much more rewarding. But you have to be willing to sacrifice it in order to move forward. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, my death people. This may look like it's an ominous card, but please do not be afraid of it. It does not mean literal death. This is Scorpio energy. Keeping in mind that we still have the North and South nodes at the time of filming this. So if you're looking at this for 2023, we have the North and South nodes in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio until July 2023. So that's heavily going to be influencing this energy too. Death means the ending of something. If we're looking at where we've come from, so the card before death was the Hanged Man, which talked about sacrifice. This is what happens when we actually make the sacrifice. Death occurs. So say you're sacrificing, one of the examples I used in that was sacrificing getting up earlier in the mornings to lose weight, so go for a walk. So you're sacrificing additional sleep. It's the death of that sleep. So that's what this death energy represents. You might also find yourself going through a hell of a lot of death and rebirth cycles in this year. Reinventing yourself multiple times is a huge energy with the death card and with Scorpio energy. This can just be the ending of particular things in your life. It may be hard to let go, but it's understanding that once you do let go, the sun is going to rise again. You're going to gain something more in return. So this is a very transformative year for you. It may seem like it's happening in small for some it might be very dramatic, for others it might be very small, but you're going to look back on this year and you're going to know that that was the pivot point. That was where everything changed for you, whether it be a mindset, career path, family situations, whatever it is. This is the year where you're going to be profoundly changed, and who you are is not going to be the same person that you once were. You're rebuilding yourself like a phoenix from the ashes. You're rising from the ashes as a new version of you. And it can be extremely daunting, but it's so necessary on your spiritual path. It's a very, very simplistic energy in some ways. I mean, death is death. We can't escape it. It's being presented to us, but know that when death comes up and when this archetype is ruling your life, it's because you're ready. The ego may not be ready, but you, on a subconscious level, are ready for this change, whatever this change may be. So deeply transformative. Do a lot of journaling, inner work, self-reflection, so you can look back over your year and see just how much you've changed from the beginning of it. It'll be very potent in order for you to heal and also get perspective. So I'm going to finish there. It's a very simplistic message. I will see you all in the next video. Hello, my Temperance people. So this card is the number 14, so you would have got 14 in your reduction. You can also reduce that down to 5, which is the Heirophant, which is also a very potent energy when we're looking at that too. The Temperance card is essentially all about balance, moderation, patience, the balance between the spiritual and the physical, which is why the angel has got one foot in the water and one foot on the rocks or on the ground as well. So this is going to be, in some ways for you, it's going to be a very smooth sailing, kind of year for you, where things won't be like super dramatic and they won't be like very, very like quiet either. It's just going to be balanced. It's just going to be very smooth, easygoing, and you may have your patience tested a little bit. You may find yourself getting a little bit frustrated with the momentum, but this is kind of like it's like the calm after the storm. So once the storm's been, this is your time where you actually are just getting to breathe again. This is also a time of alchemy. So this is where you're seeing the dramatic changes from your life begin to shift and manifest in your world now. So like, you might begin to see money worries ease off, more opportunities if you're looking for work. Family life becomes a little bit more smooth sailing and easier, less conflicts, things like that. Like this is a very, it's a very calm waters is really the only way I can describe it. It's going to be a very potent year of alchemizing your world as well. So a lot of spiritual growth that you're going to find from this, and spiritual awareness and spiritual maturity that shows through in your physical world as well, and how you manifest things. So there is that sense of maturity that comes through with this in general. But it's very spiritually influenced. So you might find that you develop some spiritual routines that help support you in your daily life as well. And if not, that could be a good idea to work through with them in order to help maintain balance in your physical world as well. But this is an energy of balance between your spiritual self and spiritual growth and your physical world. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to leave it there, and I hope you have a wonderful year, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, my devils, and welcome to this card. So you would have got the number 15, which can reduce down to 6, which is the Lover's card. So you might want to look at that energy too, specifically when we're looking at the choices and between the ego self and the physical self. Don't be scared of the Devil card. The Devil card and the Death card tend to get a bad rap in the major arcana because we look at them quite literally. However, the Devil rules our ego and our desires. So you might be finding that you're struggling a little bit with your sense of ego. So you might have an ego death that you go through, or multiple ego deaths. But more so, you're going to be tested with your desires, and that's where the ego still comes into it, because the ego connects to our sense of desire. So this is a year where you're going to really be questioned. What do you desire in life, and what are you willing to do to get there? It can be reflecting on like particular habits. Maybe you've had some bad habits that you've wanted to overcome, and this is going to be a great year for you to release those literal chains that we see over them, so you can actually overcome them. It can be starting up new habits that's going to help lead you down the path to gain what you desire as well. So the desire is the key component here. So what is it that you want to manifest? What is your drive? What is driving you in your world? Is it something toxic? So if you've had like addictions and bad habits, this is a great year for you to overcome them, to understand the root causes of them, and also to develop more beneficial ones as well. And really this is about reflecting on your internal ego and what your ego desires, as opposed to what you desire on a spiritual level. So it can be a little bit more of a difficult year if you're not quite ready to face your ego and your sense of self. Remembering the ego is not to be destroyed. It's not about destroying the ego or killing the ego off. The ego is a part of who we are. It's about bringing it into the light. So there's a lot of shadow work that comes through with this card. You could be going through a lot of shadow work, deep diving into what makes you, what makes you tick, in order to understand yourself more, and in order to understand what drives you as a human as well. It's a very human card. So a tough year if we're not quite ready to be thrust into this energy, but you're going to come out the other side more aware of who you are as an individual and more stable within yourself as well, if you use it wisely, I should say. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope that's made sense for you, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, my Tower people. This is going to be a bit of a difficult year. The Tower does rule change and transformation, but it also rules enlightenment to a certain degree. Remembering the lightning bolt at the head of the Tower is always about enlightenment. So any kind of change that comes through in your world or chaos that comes through is there to serve a higher purpose for you in terms of understanding who you are. I think the key thing to understand with the Tower is this is going to be a year of change, dramatic change. Your entire life is probably going to change, or whatever change does come through is going to influence your entire life. So it can be quite chaotic, and the trick is to keep your head about you and to try and stay calm in the midst of the chaos and know that this too is going to end. So the Tower is about tearing down the foundations of your life in order to rebuild them in a more solid structure. Remembering that the reason why the Tower is falling is because there's something that is not structurally safe and sound in your world. So it's bringing the awareness to that. And sometimes that's just one aspect of your life. Other times it's everything in your life, or it's just certain components as well. And it doesn't have to be like life-changing, like losing a job. It can just be smaller things like having issues like in your home, for example, like a lot of like, it could be plumbing issues and like foundation issues and things like that, which is like a metaphor for sort of looking at what is it that's in your life that's like, it could be in your body. Maybe there's certain things in your health that you need to take care of a bit more and things like that. So there's a lot of metaphors that are going to come through in your life. So anything that comes up that is chaos and change, you need to sort of reflect on it from a spiritual perspective and see how is this applying to other aspects of my life as well. So it may seem like something simplistic, like your car breaks down, but it could be, or you have multiple issues with your car, but this could be saying, okay, what else can be coming up in my world? Maybe there's other forms of transportation that I need to be looking at the moment that is going to help me either save money, or it might help me get my health in check, or maybe it's communication that's breaking down and that needs to be reflected on. Like, this is how it's kind of going to show up in your world. Like, it can manifest as something physical, but it needs to also be reflected on from a deeper level. There's a spiritual aspect that is coming through for you to reflect on in the rest of your life, that needs to be repaired and rebuilt on, if that makes sense. So I'm going to leave it there. A bit of a difficult one for you, but know that it won't last forever and you will get through this, and it will be so much more worth it in the end, coming through the other side, because the universe is always working in our favor, even if it seems like it isn't. And that's one thing I hate being told myself, so I get the frustration. So I hope you have a good year, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, my stars, and welcome to this card. So the star is the renewal card. Before anything else, this is the calm after the storm. This is a sense of renewal, hope being restored. This is also wish fulfillment as well. This is following your North Star. So being realigned onto your life's journey, having a wish fulfillment as well. The star can also represent a wish fulfillment coming through. This is just a very peaceful, easy energy. Like, this is being able to be outside on a clear night in the summer where it's nice and warm, calm, and no mosquitoes or anything, and just being able to see the entire night sky. It's peace. This is inner peace within your soul. So it's a very peaceful, renewing year for you. Things are going to flow easier. Things are going to manifest for you. You're going to see the results of your hard work and all of the chaos that you've experienced. It's going to be a very calming year for you. That is it in a nutshell. The star is the star can also represent for some of you that you may get a little bit of fame. So if you're trying to get some traction on social media, running a business, or like getting a standing in your career or something like that. It can be a sense of fame or being in the spotlight that comes through with this as well. So that can be a component, recognition in some way, shape or form that you've been hoping for. But the key message here is that this is a complete soul renewal. Inner peace is something that you're going to really be blessed with this year. It's just going to be a smooth sailing year where things just seem to work out. It's a very beneficial year. So I'm going to finish there. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a very straightforward message, but the star is like that energy. And I will see you in the next reading. Hello, my moons, and welcome to this card. So the moon energy is very intuitive. This is the subconscious mind, so you might be finding a lot of things coming up from the subconscious self. Pay attention to your dreams throughout this year, because your dreams are going to be highly activated. This is also Pisces energy. We can see Cancer energy coming through with this as well, so deeply connected to the emotions. A sense of escapism as well, so you might find yourself fantasizing a lot more or daydreaming a lot more, being inspired by that, which you can have a lot of creative pursuits that come through, but there's a lot of subconscious healing. So you might find that you do a lot of inner world reflection in terms of like rediscovering who you are. You could rediscover spiritual pursuits or take on new ones. Working with the moon cycles is going to be very potent for you as well. This is also a healing energy too, so very intuitive, very emotional, very spiritual, very healing as well. So healing anything to do with the subconscious mind and the subconscious self. You might find yourself being more awake at night, so your sleep patterns might be changed as well, and that's just because you're going to be more intuitive and more active during those times. So making sure you're journaling not a lot as well is going to be very beneficial. Very deeply internal kind of work is what you're doing. So rediscovering who you are as a person, and reconnecting to your sense of self, and a sense of faith. Again, the deeply intuitive. So your intuition, you might find new psychic gifts come throughout this year, or you just reconnect to your intuitive self, especially if you've been disconnected for the last few years. That also can be a big component that comes through as well. So yeah, paying attention to your dreams and journaling are going to be very, very beneficial for you throughout this year. It's going to be a quiet internal year for you in that sense. You may have some chaotic aspects that come through, but they're coming through in order for you to understand something deeper about yourself. But it's nothing dramatic in any way. Like it's always going to be in order to create healing in your world. So I'm going to finish there. I hope that makes sense for you, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, my fellow suns, and welcome to this card. So this, as you saw from the beginning of this video, 2023 is a sun year for me, and I'm very excited about that. I can already see how this is sort of reflected in my life as well, leading up to what's going to be happening through the year. But in a nutshell, the sun represents success. So this is going to be a very successful year for you, a year full of a lot of happiness, positivity. This is rebirth kind of energy as well. So you're going to see a lot of things manifest that you have been working hard towards manifesting. It's a very straightforward energy. You might find yourself a little bit more social because the sun can connect into that social aspects. But this is really about having achievement, insight, achievement, success, fulfillment as well. And happiness. This is just going to be a very joyful year for you. It's going to be one where you find yourself just feeling like life is on your side. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. Life is on your side. The universe is on your side. and you're just not going to experience any hardship. And if you do experience any hardship, it's going to be overcome very quickly and very easily. There's very limited difficulties in your world at this point in time. So it's a very successful year for you, a very abundant year for you as well. So really enjoy it. Take the time to just literally bask in the sunlight, enjoy the rays of the sun, enjoy the happiness and the success that you're gaining this year, and try not to overthink it as well. Like, this is about having positivity, gratitude, blessings, and knowing that you deserve everything that's coming through for you. So very straightforward, very simplistic, but it is the sun. This is that nourishment energy, and very simple in its message. So have a wonderful year, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, my Judgement people. So Judgement can seem sometimes like a little bit of an intimidating card. So this is card 20. You can reduce it down to 2 as well. So we do have that spiritual component of the High Priestess, which can be applicable in this regard. Really though, the Judgement card represents resurrection. It is rebirth energy. So it is technically depicted as the day of reckoning, when people rise from, when it's like the people rising from the grave kind of aspect. You know, this is the, I can't remember the term from the Christian perspective, but it's like, you know, when Jesus will return and everyone ascends kind of energy. So and this is the Archangel Gabriel delivering that message. But what it means in the tarot and as an archetype is, this is the time for you to judge yourself. Are you happy with where your life is? And if you're not, this is the opportunity for you to change things. This is the opportunity for you to change the course of your life. This is also, you might find things coming back from the past in order for you to gain the opportunity again. Perhaps you weren't ready for an opportunity in the past, and it's now being presented to you this year in order for you to maximize that opportunity, because you're now ready for it. So there is that like phoenix-like energy that comes through. It's very spiritual though. So this is about a spiritual awakening as well. You might go through spiritual awakenings, but really this is about not new opportunities. This is a chance to redo, to rewrite something. So if you're not happy with the way something's been going, you're going to be presented with the opportunity to rewrite it and start again, or to tweak it in order to move forward in a better way or a beneficial way. So, you know, you're editing, basically. This is your chance to edit your life and decide what needs to go, what you want to stay, what you need to update a little bit in order to move forward more successfully. So it's kind of like, it's like taking stock of your life. So it's a lot of mental kind of aspects going through, a lot of self-reflection in order for you to change the course of where things are going, so you can rebalance everything in your world. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to leave it there, and I hope you have a wonderful year, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, my world people. So you have the last card in the tarot deck. The world represents completion. So this is like completion, not quite like the Wheel of Fortune. We do have the number 21, so that reduces down to 3, so you can look at the Empress energy if you want to. But the world is a successful completion. So this is like life-changing, like, and end of your journey of something. So it could be like, let's say you have children, for example, like this is your kids becoming an adult. So it's not anything like, it's not negative. So, or it could be like retiring. So this is like at the ending of one particular chapter where you have successfully completed something in your life's journey, in your life contract, and you're now starting the next chapter, the next journey. I don't even want to say chapter. It's not a chapter. This is like the next book. You're opening up the next book in your life. So it's very much like those major transitions in your world. So maybe you have gotten married and you're now having kids. So that single life is gone. That chapter is completed. You're now starting the next book, the next part of your journey. Maybe you've graduated from university and you're now starting a new career. So this is very much a time for you to celebrate your wins and celebrate your successes, because a lot will be coming through this year. It doesn't have to be like huge things as well. It can just be smaller things. Maybe you finally reach that goal weight that you've been trying to work towards for years. Maybe you finally complete a hobby or a task that you've been trying to do for years and years, paying off all of your debt, for example. Like this is like something that is coming to a completion that does actually change the course of your life, because it frees up new energy to manifest things. So this is coming to an end, but remembering that the world is always about completions in a positive sense, and it's a time to celebrate. You have to celebrate. Give yourself permission. This is like celebrating New Year's Eve every single day. That's the easiest way that I can explain it. And I just want to point out too that I'm actually filming this video on New Year's Eve. So it's actually New Year's Eve of 2022. So for those of you who are watching it, even if you're watching this 10 years in the future, it could be something that significantly ended or started around 2022 that is of significance, just because I just had that sort of pop into my head, because that is when I'm filming this. But this is a time to celebrate your wins, celebrate your successes, because when you do that, more will come into your world as well. It's a very positive year for you to be working through and to be enjoying. Like, celebrate your life in the present moment. This is a time to not worry about the future plans. Just celebrate life in the moment. Do as many things as you can in the moment, whether that be getting out into nature more and just enjoying life as it is, because this isn't about forward planning. You can have goals and ideas to work towards, but this is really about spending every moment that you can, literally being in the moment. Romanticizing your life is a very good way to look at that. So I'm going to finish there. I hope that's made sense for you. Have a wonderful year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.